Before the sun even touches the cobblestones, the air is thick with the scent of burning copal resin and crushed chilies. It is a fragrance that has gathered people together in this exact spot for over 5 centuries. Step inside, and the first thing that hits you is the sheer volume of life. The rhythmic thud of a heavy iron cleaver against a thick wooden block echoes through the narrow, crowded aisles. Steam billows from enormous metal vats of simmering tamales, wrapping around you in a warm, comforting cloud of sweet steamed corn and fragrant hot husks. All around us, voices rise and fall in a chaotic but beautiful symphony. Vendors call out to passing faces with incredible warmth, using terms of endearment, calling you their love, their friend, their most valued customer. You brush past massive towers of dried chilies. They are deep burgundy, wrinkled, and stacked so impossibly high that they almost block the light from the corrugated tin roof above. Nearby, a woman with silver hair expertly shapes masa between her weathered palms. You can hear the rhythmic, hollow slap of the dough forming perfect circles that she quickly lays onto a blistering hot clay comal. But this isn't just a place to buy ingredients for tonight's dinner. As we push past the bright plastic banners, you realize we've crossed a threshold into a completely different reality. You've found the beating heart of the community. Welcome to Culture Journey. Today, we're walking into the beautiful chaos of Mexico. A place where the ancient past and the present actively converse every single day. Here, the local market is far more than a simple center of commerce. For the people who live in these neighborhoods, it is a daily reunion, a living archive of indigenous botanical knowledge, and an absolute sanctuary for community connection. When you step into a Mexican mercado, you are stepping into a rich microcosm of the nation itself. It is a physical space where social classes blur completely, where generational culinary secrets are passed down in the form of a perfectly spiced mole sauce, and where the ancient, steady pulse of Mesoamerica is still felt in every single exchange of goods. This is where the true, unvarnished soul of Mexico resides, hiding in plain sight among the delicate yellow squash blossoms and the fragrant piles of fresh cilantro. Let us wander through these vibrant, winding aisles together and discover exactly why these markets feel more intensely alive than almost anywhere else on Earth. Letting the gentle pressure of the crowd guide you down these narrow corridors, you quickly realize this is not a modern grocery store. It operates like an independent, bustling village. There is a distinct energy here, a purposeful movement that carries the weight of history. Long before European ships arrived on these shores, the indigenous peoples of Mesoamerica gathered in massive outdoor markets known as Tianguis. The most famous of these was located in Tlatelolco, a bustling sister city to the great Aztec capital of Tenochtitlan. When Spanish chroniclers first laid eyes on it, they wrote that they were absolutely stunned by its immense size and its flawless order. They described seeing tens of thousands of people gathered in a massive plaza, trading precious green jade, bitter cacao beans, vibrant bird feathers, and countless medicinal roots. While the jade and the exotic feathers are mostly gone from today's stalls, the profound spirit of the Tianguis endures. The very word Tianguis is still used today across Mexico to describe the sprawling weekly street markets that pop up in neighborhoods under endless oceans of pink and yellow canvas tarps. As we walk, you can see how vendors still arrange their produce with almost mathematical precision. They stack vivid red tomatoes, glossy green limes, and dark avocados into perfect, sturdy pyramids, just as their ancestors did on these exact same lands hundreds of years ago. It is a visual language of abundance and respect for the earth's yield. As we venture deeper into the permanent, covered market building, the physical environment changes. The bright morning sunlight filters through small, dusty skylights in the high ceiling, casting dramatic, cinematic beams onto the damp concrete floors. What might surprise you is the profound sense of organization that exists within initially seems like total, overwhelming chaos. The market is carefully divided into distinct, invisible neighborhoods, each with its own rhythm and scent. Suddenly, the air shifts. We have left the bright, fragrant rows of tropical fruits like mami and papaya, and we have entered butcher section. Here, the atmosphere becomes intense, focused, and incredibly practical. Huge sides of beef and pork hang from heavy iron hooks, The vendors wear thick aprons stained with the hard work of the morning. They sharpen their knives constantly, creating a sharp, metallic ring that cuts right through the heavy background noise. But even here, in a space dedicated to the harsh reality of processing meat, there is immense warmth. A butcher leans over his glass display counter to hand a small, rolled slice of ham to a passing toddler, a gentle exchange that happens countless times a day. It is an act that says you are known here, and you are fed here. Then the scent in the air changes entirely once again. We take a few steps down a side aisle and find ourselves surrounded by an absolute explosion of color. We have reached the flower vendors. Enormous plastic buckets overflow with towering white lilies, bright pink roses, and fragrant bundles of chamomile. During the weeks leading up to the Day of the Dead, this section expands massively, flooding the entire market with the intoxicating, earthy, musky scent of marigolds. Standing here surrounded by petals, it reminds you that the Mexican market is intrinsically tied to the rhythm of the seasons and the grand cycle of life itself. People don't just come here to feed their bodies. They come here to honor their departed loved ones, to celebrate their patron saints, and to find beauty to place on their kitchen tables. Notice how the people interact in these aisles. Listen closely to the way they speak to one another over the piles of produce. You won't hear the sterile, highly transactional language of a corporate supermarket. Instead, you hear a deeply Mexican concept of reciprocity. Vendors and their regular customers often call each other marchante. It is a fascinating word because it can refer to either the buyer or the seller. This shared title effectively erases the traditional hierarchy between the person holding the money and the person holding the goods. It signifies a mutual respect, an unspoken agreement that we are participating in this daily exchange together as equals. Watch the older woman buying fresh panela cheese at the next stall. She doesn't just pick up a plastic package in silence and leave. She pauses. She tastes a small crumble of the cheese offered to her on the tip of a clean knife. She asks the vendor about his mother's health. She complains about the recent heavy rains, and they share a brief, genuine laugh before the metal coins finally change hands. This simple interaction is the invisible thread holding Mexican society together. The market is the original, living social network. For many older generations, going to the Mercado is their primary connection to the outside world, a vital daily ritual that reminds them they belong to a community that sees them and values them. And then, of course, there's the food. In a Mexican market, your senses will eventually take over and make every decision for you. We follow the rich aroma of toasted spices and find a small cluster of brightly colored plastic stools crowded around a sizzling flat griddle. The women cooking here transform the raw ingredients sold just a few feet away into something extraordinary. They flip thick blue corn tortillas with their bare fingertips, seemingly impervious to the burning heat of the clay. They spoon rich dark mole sauce over freshly shredded chicken. This is a complex sauce that requires dozens of distinct ingredients and days of careful preparation. Yet here it is, served to you instantly on a humble plate wrapped in a thin sheet of plastic. Eating here, sitting elbow to elbow with office workers in crisp business suits and construction workers covered in white dust, you begin to understand that food in Mexico is the ultimate equalizer. It is an expression of profound democratic generosity. Let's take one more turn, down a much quieter, dimly lit aisle tucked away toward the very back of the market. The loud sounds of the meat cleavers and the sizzling grills fade away, replaced by the soft, dry rustling of leaves and bark. This is the botanical and spiritual section. Large burlap sacks sit heavily on the floor, filled to the brim with dried medicinal herbs, tree bark, and twisted roots. Bunches of rue, fresh rosemary, and sweet basil hang upside down from the wooden rafters. Behind these wooden counters sit older men and women who possess an entire encyclopedia of ancestral knowledge. They are the herbalists, and sometimes they are curanderos, traditional community healers. If you step up to the counter and tell them your stomach hurts, they will immediately blend a specific pungent tea of bitter herbs for you to boil at home. If you tell them your heart is heavy with grief, or that you feel a lingering bad energy around you, they might calmly hand you a tightly bound bundle of fresh green herbs and instruct you on how to sweep it across your body to cleanse your spirit. Look closely at the shelves behind them. You will see brightly colored prayer candles sitting next to plaster statues of saints, placed right alongside glass bottles of mysterious fragrant waters used for bringing good luck and prosperity to a new business. This quiet corner of the market reveals something incredibly profound about the Mexican worldview. Health is not just about the physical body in isolation. It is about the spirit, the mind, and the invisible energy you carry through the world. The fact that you can buy a spiritual remedy to cleanse your soul right next to the aisle where you buy your daily onions and garlic shows how seamlessly the mystical and the mundane coexist in Mexican culture. They aren't separate realities. They're just different aisles in the exact same market. As we finally step out of the cool shade of the market and back into the glaring, bright sunlight of the city streets, the sudden quiet of the modern outside world feels almost strange and empty. We have just left a place that pulses with a rare, undeniable, and beautiful vitality. A Mexican mercado is so much more than a simple collection of independent vendors trying to make a living. It is a powerful act of cultural endurance. In a globalized world that is becoming increasingly isolated, automated, and digital, these vibrant markets stand as a fierce, stubborn defense of human connection. They teach us that survival is not just about the calories we consume, but about how we gather together to share them. They remind us that our most ordinary repetitive tasks, like buying ingredients for a simple Tuesday family meal, can be deeply infused with collective memory, unexpected joy, and a profound sense of local belonging. The market is a living, breathing organism, constantly adapting and moving forward into the future, while remaining deeply anchored in the rich soil of its ancestors. It asks us to slow our pace, to look each other in the eye, and to recognize the everyday sacredness of our daily bread and the hard-working people who provide it. Thank you for sharing this beautiful sensory space with us today. If you felt the warmth of the Mercado and want to continue uncovering the incredible stories woven into the fabric of cultures around the globe, please consider liking this video and leaving a comment below. We would love to hear what specific part out of the market surprised or moved you the most. Subscribe to Culture Journey so we can keep walking these fascinating paths together. There are so many more spaces waiting to be understood, and we can't wait to explore them with you. Until then, keep your heart open to the journey.